Started.
ॐ यो ब्रह्माणं विदधाति पूर्वं यो वै वेदांश्च प्रहिणोति तस्मै तं हदेवम् आत्मबुद्धिप्रकाशं मुमुक्षुर्वै शरणमहं प्रपद्ये असतो मा सद्गमय तमसो मा ज्योतिर्गमय मृत्योर्मा अमृतं गमय ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णुः गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरुर्साक्षात् परब्रह्म तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः गुरवे सर्वलोकानां भिषजे भवरोगिणां निधये सर्वविद्यानां श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये नमः. Okay, so today the participation seems to be very thin, but we have a new person joining. Anupama ji, namaste. Oh, welcome.
Namaste, sir.
Namaste. So I don't know if you have been following the earlier sessions through recording or not.
No, not yet. I just saw the message in WhatsApp and thought I will join and see how I can benefit from this.
Okay, okay. Thank you. But you will probably have a lot of catching up to do because today's session is the 35th session.
Oh, okay.
And so there are 34 sessions that you will have to catch up. So, I mean, the recordings are available. So you can do it at your own pace. Okay.
But is it one interlinked with other and is it
yeah. It's a whole series actually.
Okay.
And so you will probably follow quite a bit of what we are talking, but you may have some basic questions because some of the concepts were explained in very early sessions. So you will probably have to be a little patient or whatever. Maybe you will have a lot of questions. We'll try to answer most of your questions as much as possible. So
okay, let's give it a try.
Yeah, you please, please you can give it a shot. Thank you. So we are actually following the Viveka Chudamani text. Viveka Chudamani text. I shared the link. I shared the link in one of the earlier WhatsApp messages. Where is this? Okay. Okay, so can someone post that message again? The Vivek Chudamani link that I...
Yeah, or I can just put the document there.
Yeah, so that whoever doesn't have can benefit. Yeah, so I'm sharing the text on the screen anyway, but if someone wants to follow it, it's there. Okay, so we were on Shloka 316. We finished with 316 in the last class. And so we are in this section, the Acharya is taking us through the problems of identifying with the Ahankara and losing track of one's true nature, which is the Chaitanya Swarupam. So that is the topic in these shlokas of Vivek Chudamani. And I had said that there was one Bhagavad Gita shloka that talked about the same thing, about how one has to be very careful, very watchful, mindful in responding to external disturbances, not getting hooked by any occurrence which will lead to distraction and all that. So this distraction topic will come in the next few shlokas. So, but I think I touched upon this in the last session. So Nigraha Kim Karishyati, that was the shloka. I think that was in the 3rd chapter. I wrongly said 2nd chapter. Nigraha Kim Karishyati Indriyasyendriyasyarthe Ragadvesho Vyavasthito. Yeah. So that is 3rd chapter Bhagavad Gita, shloka number 33. Sadrisham cheshtate swasyaha prakriter jnanavanapi prakritim yanti bhutani nigraha kim karishyati. Indriyasyendriyasyarthe ragadveshau vyavasthitau tayorna vashamagachet tauhyasya paripantino. So 33 and 34 shloka number in Bhagavad Gita, 3rd chapter. So there also the message is that a jnani and even an ajnani who is interested in becoming a jnani and who is therefore going through Shravanam and Mananam, they both have to be very mindful that they should not get disturbed and distracted by any external stimuli, and so that will actually take you away from your mental poise and emotional balance. So that is the warning that Bhagavan Krishna also gives in Bhagavad Gita, and that is a warning that Acharya has been giving in all these shlokas. What we should understand is, we are talking about nididhyasanam in all these shlokas. Right from 254, where we started, the entire section is about nididhyasanam, and nididhyasanam is essentially the phase, which follows Shravanam and Mananam, and where you are now consolidating the teachings at an emotional level. The Shravanam and Mananam phase was receiving the teachings and assimilating it at the intellectual level. After assimilating the teachings at the intellectual level, you resolve a lot of questions and doubts in the Mananam phase, but it is still a firm knowledge that is resting only in the buddhi. It is not yet come to the emotional layer that we call manas. So nididhyasanam is that phase in the sadhana where the teachings percolate down to our emotional layer and starts reflecting in our day-to-day behavior. Okay, that is the actual transformation phase. You can call it a transformation phase, and that's a very gradual process. You can compare it to the process that we use for the achar or pickle. When you prepare achar, if you try to eat it on the first or second day, all the different components of the achar will taste differently in different parts. Let's say you have put some salt, some chili powder, some mango, some oil here and some tadka there and all that. In the first, second, third days, the percolation has not completely completed. So you put some pickle in your mouth, the mango will be somewhere, the salt will be somewhere, the mango will not reflect the salt taste, and so on. But if you take the pickle after a week or 10 days, everything is completely blended. So wherever you bite, you get the same consistent taste. Even the gravy will have the mango taste, the mango will have the salt and chili taste. So this is a little like that. So nididhyasanam is that pickling, you can call it. This is a Vedantic pickling process that happens in our personality. That's one way to look at it. And of course, my Guruji gives another example where he says it's like you are recovering from a sickness. When you are sick, you are given medicines and treatment, and then you slowly recover your health. And then there is a point when you have completely recovered from the sickness, and that is when in the Vedantic language, that is the jnana nishtha stage. But before you become a jnana nishtha, there is a phase where you are not sick but not completely cured. So there is a certain convalescence phase where one has to be very careful and avoid risky behavior like eating whatever you want, drinking whatever you want. So nididhyasanam is also a little like that. So you have acquired the jnanam, but you have not yet completely assimilated the teaching at your behavioral level. So you are in that curing process. So that is the nididhyasanam that we are going through. And if there are any questions, discussion points, I'm happy to take up. Otherwise, we'll move on to 317. Any questions? No one?
No from my side, sir. Thank you, sir.
Okay, right. So then we'll go to Viveka Chudamani 317. Can someone confirm if you can see the screen with the shlokas?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Now it has disappeared. I'll have to reopen again. Technology. Okay. Okay. Is it visible now? Or should I share again?
No, we can see it, sir.
Right. Okay. So we'll read along, repeat after me. Kriyanashe bhavet
Kriyanashe bhavet.
Kriyanashe bhavet.
Jnanati bhavanti.
chintanashah
Chintanashah.
Chintanashah.
asmat
Asmad.
Asmat.
vasanakshayah
Vasanakshayah.
vasana prakshayo mokshah
Vasana.
Vasana
Prakshayo
prakshayo
Mokshah.
sa jivan muktihi
Sa
Sa
jivan
jivan muktihi
ishyate.
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 Ishyate. Yeah. Okay. Kriyanashe bhavet chinta nashosmad vasanakshayah vasana prakshayo mokshah sa jivan mukti rishyate. Okay. So here the Acharya introduces the expression jivan mukti. I don't think we saw this expression coming until now. So this is probably the first place in the Viveka Chudamani where the Acharya is introducing this very idea of jivan mukti. And basically jivan mukti is a very unique idea that comes only in Advaitam. There are three major branches of Vedanta: Visishta Advaitam, Dvaitam and Advaitam. The other two branches, Dvaitam and Visishta Advaitam, don't accept a jivan mukti at all. They insist that a jiva can become liberated or muktaha only after physically dying. Okay, so the jivan mukti idea is not accepted in the other two Vedantic branches, Dvaitam and Visishta Advaitam. Advaitam is the only Vedantic school which postulates and accepts a jivan mukti. And how is it defined? Here the Acharya says, Kriyanashe bhavet chintanashah. In the previous slokas, we saw, okay, before that I wanted to make a quick correction. In one of the earlier slokas, 315, okay, in 315, I think I said that the word Trayanam comes. The second line, first word is Trayanam. Trayanam cha kshayopayah. There I said that Trayanam means the three which are the karyam or karma and the chinta, and then I said the suffering or samsara. That's not correct actually. The Trayanam refers to karma, chinta and ahankara. So the third element is not samsara but ahankara. Samsara is a effect of ahankara. Samsara is the effect or product of chinta and karma. So the root cause is basically ahankara. So ahankara is a root cause. From ahankara we get karma and chinta. And in fact, in the classical Advaita, we say ahankara itself is a product of ajnanam or ignorance. Okay, but in this section, Acharya doesn't talk about ignorance. He straight away comes to ahankara. So it is Trayanam in 315 refers to.
Außerhalb ist nicht.
Sorry, somebody said something. Okay. So Trayanam. Sorry, if someone has a question, please raise your hand. I'm hearing some crosstalk in the background. Yeah. So Trayanam of 315 actually means Chinta, Karma, and Ahankara. So that's the correction I wanted to give. So coming back to 317, Kriyanashaha. So by reducing the activities, so we cannot completely give up all activities. So the word Nashaha has to be understood as eliminating unnecessary activities, minimizing activities. What happens by minimizing activities? Chinta Nashaha Bhavet. The mental stress that we undergo because of too many commitments, that also comes down. That is Chinta Nashaha. So the less activities we are committed to, the less mental activity also is a consequence. And that in turn reduces Vasana. Vasana Kshaya. Asmat Vasana Kshaya. And in the previous shlokas, we saw that the word Vasana refers to Ahankara Vasana. Remnants of Ahankara. And so this is a, in the earlier shlokas, we saw that the Chinta, Karma, and Ahankara, Vasana, they are all interconnected. So by reducing one, you can reduce the other two with effort. It's not automatic, but with effort. So by reducing Karma, you reduce Chinta, and therefore you reduce Ahankara Vasana. Vasana Prakshayo Moksha. And that state of the mind in which you are free from all insecurities, all worries, all kinds of feelings of limitation, that state of the mind is here described as moksha. That is liberation. And such a person enjoying such a state of mind is called a Jivan Muktaha. And that state of mind is called Jivan Muktihi. Jivan Muktihi Ishyate. That is called Jivan Mukti. So the concept of moksha in Advaita, for a jnani, it comes in two steps. After going through Jnana Yoga, which is Sravanam, Mananam, Nididhyasanam, the jnani becomes a Jnana Nishtha, and living as a Jnana Nishtha, the jnani enjoys Jivan Mukti until the Prarabdha, brings his body to an end. And once the jnani leaves the body at the end of the Janma, he becomes a Videha Mukta. So there are Jivan Mukti and Videha Mukti. The Mukti comes in two steps. Okay, that is the Advaitic concept of how a person can be liberated. Okay, that was 317. In the following shlokas, Acharya will touch upon the aspect of Prarabdha Karma and how the jnani has to just ensure that the rest of the Janma is spent with the sole purpose of getting rid of the Prarabdha Karma. So those concepts will come later. But here I think I'll stop for 317. And if there are any doubts, questions, we can talk. Otherwise, I'll go to 318. No questions? Okay. Right. So we'll go to 318. Please repeat after me. Sadvasana Spurti Vijrumbhane Sati.
Satvasana Spurti Vijrumbhane.
Oh, I'm sorry, because I cannot split this. It's one word. That Sadvasana Spurti Vijrumbhane is one long word. So there is no way I can split it. So we'll leave it at that. Tyasau
Dhasau.
Jasau.
Vilinapi
Vilinapi
Ahamadi Vasana
Ahamadi Vasana
Vasana.
Ati Prakrishtapi
Ati Prakrishtapi
Prakrishtapi
Aruna Prabhayam
Aruna
Prabhayam
Prabhayam
Viliyate Sadhu
Viliyate
Viliyate
sadhu.
sadhu.
Yatha tamisra.
Yatha
Yatha
tamisra.
tamisra.
Okay. Sadvasana spurti vijrumbhane sati hyasau vilina pyahamadi vasana ati prakrishta pyaruna prabhayam viliyate sadhu yatha tamisra. Okay, so the second half of the shloka is the example part, and the first two lines are the message. So let us see the example first. That will make the message that much easier to understand. So the example is how before sunrise there is darkness, and as the sun rises, the darkness is driven away. And once the sun is fully up in the sky, there is not even a drop of darkness to be seen anywhere. Okay, so that is the example. So ati prakrishtapi tamisra, you have to connect those two. Ati prakrishtapi is the first half of the third line. Tamisra is the last word of the fourth line. Those two go together. Ati prakrishtapi tamisra. So tamisra means darkness. Tamoguna, it comes from tamaha. So tamisra is darkness. Ati prakrishtapi, even though the darkness may be very dense. Prakrishta means strong. Ati prakrishta means very strong. That is, around 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the morning, it is pitch dark. Especially if it happens to be a new moon day, there's no moon also in the sky. So it is pitch dark. Ati prakrishta tamisra, even though that may be the case. Aruna prabhayam sadhu viliyate. So Aruna Prabha actually is the rays of the sun at the time of the dawn. At the time of dawn, even before the sun has actually risen, you see a certain twilight in the horizon, and then slowly the horizon brightens up. So that brightening of the horizon, even before the sun rises, that is called Aruna Prabha. Aruna Prabhayam viliyate sadhu. Sadhu here means to completely. Viliyate means to remove or to get rid of. So just like the rising sun drives away darkness with its bright rays, in the same way, the message is the strengthening of the jnanam or the jnana vasana. The jnana vasana acts as an antidote for the ahankara vasana. Okay, so sadvasana. So that sadvasana is in the 316 we saw sadbhava vasana. That sadbhava vasana and sadvasana, they are all referring to the same idea, that the jnani becomes more and more oriented towards his true nature and starts identifying with the Chaitanya Swarupam, Brahman nature, in accordance with the teaching, and that displaces the ahankara remnants. So the ahankara vasana is a remnant of ahankara that continues to exist, and that has to be weakened, and that weakening can happen only by increasing the sadvasana or the sadbhava vasana. So sadvasana spurti vijrumbhane. So the word spurti here is sort of comparable to the light in the example. So the word spurti is normally used to mean activity or experience. Okay, so here you can say that spurti is not necessarily activity or experience, but the we can say identification with the jnanam. Sadvasana spurti means the jnani identifies more and more closely, more and more intensely with the Upanishadic teaching, and vijrumbhanam means to strengthen, and that identification is strengthened. Okay, vilinapi ahamadi vasana. So the ahamadi vasana is the ahankara vasana, and that ahamadi vasana or ahankara vasana becomes weaker and weaker. Hyasau vilina api ahamadi vasana. So these two happen in parallel. The word sati means as it happens. So as the sadbhavana vasana increases and strengthens in the mind, the ahankara vasana also keeps reducing and becomes weakened. You know, even in the modern world of psychology, they say that the mind has to be given positive commandments. You know, if you tell a child, don't run, or don't do this, don't do that, that doesn't work. Instead, if you tell the child, okay, do this, and give him a toy or something to read or something to be active with, that do something is a more powerful diversion than saying don't do something else. When you say don't run, the child will end up running. Instead of saying don't run, if you say walk slowly, that will probably be more effective in making the child walk slowly. Similarly, the mind always needs something to keep it occupied with. And in the absence of anything else which is worthwhile, the mind ends up identifying with the body mind intellect complex. So by positively feeding the mind with Upanishadic teachings, the teachings of Vivek Chudamani or Bhagavad Gita or whatever, so the Aham Brahmasmi kind of Mahavakyam teachings, by feeding the mind with these positive teachings, you are weaning the mind away from the identification with Ahankara. That is the whole idea. So it is a positive displacement theory, so to say. Okay, that is 318. Any questions? No questions? Okay, we'll go to 319. 319. Tamastamah karyam
Tamastamah karyam
anarthajalam
anarthajalam
na drishyate
na drishyate
satyudite dineshe.
satyudite dineshe
Tatha
तथा
advayananda rasa
advayananda rasa
anubhutau
anubhutau
naivasti bandho
naivasti
नैवास्तु
nacha dukkha gandha.
na cha dukkha gandha.
न च
Tamastamah karyam anarthajalam na drishyate sadyudite dineshe tathadvayananda rasanubhutau naivasti bandho nacha dukkha gandha. So tamah karyam. Tamaha means darkness. Tamah karyam is the effect of darkness. So the first two lines are the example again, and it is the same example as in the previous shloka. It is about the darkness being displaced by the sunlight. The same example, but given in a slightly different language and in a slightly different context. Okay, tamakaryam anarthajalam. Anarthajalam. Anartham means suffering, pain. Jalam, you can say, is some kind of a trap. And here you can say it's a series of sufferings. So imagine you are walking in darkness. You are walking in darkness and you are trying to make some progress. But walking in darkness is always dangerous because you don't know what is in front of you. You might stumble on some rock, or you might fall into a pit, and all those things are there. So trying to move in a dark environment is full of sufferings, risk of suffering. And similarly, the Acharya says all of us in this world are moving about in the darkness of self-ignorance. So the darkness here is the reference to the self-ignorance. And it is because of that self-ignorance that all the sufferings that we experience in the world are coming out of. So exactly how darkness can give rise to suffering, this self-ignorance also gives rise to suffering. That is the message. So tamaha tamakaryam anarthajalam na drishyate sati udite dineshe. Dineshaha is Surya, sun. Udite dineshe means after the sun has risen. Na drishyate means all the sufferings have gone. So the darkness is gone. The effect of darkness, which comes in the form of pain and the suffering and all that, is also gone. Okay, that is the first two lines. Tatha, in the same way, Advaya Ananda Rasa Anubhutau. So Advaya Ananda Rasaha is the expression the Acharya uses here to indicate the Jnana Phalam. Advaya Ananda Rasam is nothing but the teaching itself. The Advaitic teaching, the Mahavakyam, Aham Brahmasmi, Tattvamasi, and all that is the Advaya Ananda Rasam. And Anubhuti here, Anubhuti normally is experience. So if you are referring to the Jnana Phalam, you can call Anubhuti as experience. But if you are talking about the Swarupam itself, then it is the firm knowledge. So Anubhuti has to be translated as firm knowledge if the Advaya Ananda Rasam is translated as the Ananda Swarupam. Because once you realize that you are none other than Brahman, that Satyam Jnanam Anantam applies to you, and you are essentially Satchidanandam. So you are yourself Ananda Swarupam, and that cannot be experienced as an object. That has to be only owned up. So that owning up is now called Anubhuti. So depending on how you translate Advaya Ananda Rasam, you can take it either as experience or owning up. Then what happens? Naivasti bandhaha nacha dukkha gandhaha. So once this knowledge is firmly absorbed and assimilated, naivasti bandhaha, there is no more suffering. Bandhaha is bondage. So there is no suffering, there is no bondage, and nacha dukkha gandhaha. Dukkham is sorrow. Dukkha gandhaha means here not even the smell of dukkham, which means what we say in English, not even an iota of suffering, not even an iota of sorrow. So this person is completely free and liberated. He is basically a Jivan Muktaha, what we saw in 317. So the Jivan Mukti Swarupam is being described in this shloka. How that person can be completely free from suffering and all kinds of negative emotions like anger, jealousy, disappointment, all those are completely driven out. And the person is always in a state of peace and security and happiness. That is Nacha Dukkha Gandha. That is 319. Okay. Can we move on? Or are there any questions?
Shweta, you had a question before. Do you want to ask it now?
Okay.
She had raised her hand earlier.
Oh, I didn't notice
Yeah,
that.
can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes, I
Yes.
can hear you. Please.
Yeah. So I had a question for the earlier shloka where you said the positive to give the positive thought to our mind. That is the best thing. Can we also say that saying or chanting any kind of stotram or a namasmaram also gives the same kind of effect?
That stotram chanting will give you the effect temporarily. Okay, so this question was also discussed in one of the earlier sessions. Okay, so the difference between chanting stotrams and other prayers on the one hand, and by going through the Vedantic lessons on the other, the difference is the stotram chanting will give you peace of mind temporarily, because it is still some kind of what they call palliative. Okay, it keeps you peaceful and happy without actually undertaking any fundamental change in your paradigm. You still continue to see the world like you did before, whereas this Advaitic teaching actually changes your complete perspective. It gives you a totally different paradigm as to how you relate to the world and how you perceive the world, and that will give you a long lasting security. Once you have come to Vedanta and once you have assimilated the teaching, even without sitting in meditation or even without sitting in any prayer or chanting, you can bring that peace of mind to yourself. Whereas if you are just chanting shlokas and prayers, you will need to get into that prayer mode in order to feel that peace. It's exactly what we say about even meditation, for that matter. There are people who follow the yogic meditation where they simply focus on quietening the mind. They have different techniques. There is this the art of living people have the Sudarshan Kriya and other such techniques, and they conduct happiness courses. You have some other school of thought which talks about Kundalini focusing, and some people do some kind of Onkara chanting. So there are different ways of controlling your mind, but that control of the mind is effective only for the period of dhyanam. Let's say somebody is advocating nirvikalpa samadhi. That nirvikalpa samadhi definitely gives a certain peace of mind. But once you come out of the samadhi and once you start interacting in the world and start going through your regular activities, your peace of mind is gone. Whereas with Vedantic teaching, once you have the jnanam, no matter how energy, how vigorously you may be active in the society, in and through all that vigorous activity, you can still feel that peace of security and peace and security.
Your voice is gone.
Yeah, I also cannot
Yes,
hear him
So
now.
that is the
yes,
difference.
can't hear.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes,
Okay,
so
now where
maybe
did I
try.
Now audible.
trail off? From where should I repeat? The whole
Instead of
thing?
silencing the mind, what is advice? No, sir. The point was you were explaining instead of silencing the mind, so we have to take the Advaitic advice.
You said
Again,
even
his
if you are
voice has gone.
vigorously active,
Hearing.
you can still feel a peace of mind inside, even
So,
if you're engaged.
yeah, correct. But
Yeah, I
can
mean,
you hear him now? I think there's still a problem, right?
am I audible?
Yeah, yes, sir. Now you are. But
Yes.
sir, maybe try.
Sir, you're audible, sir.
Yeah, maybe try turning off your
Okay.
video, sir.
Okay. Now I'll request one of you to summarize whatever you heard from me. What is missing? Someone summarize whatever I had said to the extent you heard.
Yeah.
Instead of okay, go ahead. Ji. Okay.
Yeah, Subhashini, you can tell me. No, not a problem. Yeah, Subhashini, carry on.
Oh, okay. Ji. Okay, sir. instead of nirvikalpa samadhi, that is instead of silencing the mind, which is only for a quiet period of time, what does the Vedantic teaching tell us? So there exactly we lost your voice.
Okay. So what I was trying to compare was there are methods of going into meditation and silencing the mind. There are different techniques, but those techniques give you a peace of mind only as long as you are in that state. If you are chanting shlokas, only for the period of chanting you may experience that peace. If you are in nirvikalpa samadhi, only for the period of nirvikalpa samadhi you will experience that peace. But if you come to Vedanta, the knowledge that you acquire through Vedantic learning can help you maintain that peace of mind even when you are vigorously engaged in activities, transactions. That is the comparison I was giving. Now, is that completely audible, whatever I said?
Yes.
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 Okay. So, there is nothing wrong in chanting shlokas and prayers and all that. It will give you definitely some peace of mind. But once the prayer is over and you get back to transactions, you will again start having the disturbances. That's all. I think this is something everybody has experienced. So it's not something that I'm telling just with my knowledge. Everybody can relate to it, I'm sure. Okay. Right.
Very, very true, sir.
Okay. So can we go to 320?
Yes.
Yes.
320. Please repeat after me.
Yes, sir, but you're not sharing anymore.
Yeah, I'll share. Just a minute. Yeah. 320. Sharing. I stopped sharing because when I share. Okay. Right. Is it visible now?
Yes.
Okay. 320. Drishyam pratitam
Drishyam
Drishyam
pratitam
pratitam
Krishnam pratitam
pravilapayan san.
pravilapayan san
vilapayan san
Son.
pravilapayan sam
Sanmatram anandaghanam
sanmatra
sanmatramanandaghanam
anandaganam
sanmatramanandaghanam
vibhavayan.
Vibhavayan.
vibhavayan
vibhavayan
Samahitah san
samahita san
samahita san
tamahitah san
bahirantaram va
bahirantaram va
bahirantaram va
bahirantaram va
kalam nayethaha
kalam
kalam
nayethaha
nayethaah
kalam nayethaah
sati karma bandhe.
sati
sati
karma
karma
sati
bandhe
karma bande
Karma bandhe. Drishyam pratitam pravilapayan san sanmatram anandaghanam vibhavayan samahitah san bahirantaram va kalam nayethaha sati karma bandhe. Okay, so drishyam pratitam. The word drishyam refers to the world. Pratitam is experienced. So drishyam pratitam refers to the world that we experience, or you can say the experience of the world, whichever way you want to put it. Pravilapayan san. Pravilapanam means here falsification. Vilapanam really means to dissolve or to resolve, but the world cannot be resolved. The world will be there. So what Acharya means by pravilapanam of the drishyam means don't attribute reality to it. Treat it like some kind of a dream or some kind of a movie. And I think this idea also we discussed in one of the earlier classes. So when the jnani ultimately learns that his true nature is Brahman and everything else that he objectifies or experiences is nothing but some kind of a illusion, the world will not stop to, the jnani will not stop experiencing the world. The jnani will experience the world. He'll continue to experience the world, but he will not give it any reality. He will know that this is just a passing illusion. It's like sitting in a movie theater and watching the movie. It's like that. So that pravilapayan basically means don't give any reality to the world. Then what do? Tanmatram anandaghanam vibhavayan. So the word vibhavayan means to repeatedly okay, Sanmatram Anandaghanam actually refers to the Brahman nature of oneself. Tanmatram, Satu Matram, pure existence. Anandaghanam, pure happiness, pure bliss. That is the Brahma Swarupam. Vibhavayan means to repeatedly reinforce this knowledge into oneself. Okay, so what we call in in the earlier shlokas, what we called as Brahmanishtha. Brahmanishtatvam here is Sanmatram Anandaghanam Vibhavayan, by constantly reminding oneself of the Brahman nature of oneself. Okay, Samahitaha san, Bahirantaram va. Samahitaha means to be in harmony, in peace, in tranquility, emotionally balanced. All that you can say samahitaha san. Bahirantaram va. Internally, from a state of mind point of view, and externally also in terms of the activities. So either you can be a very quiet, withdrawn person like a sannyasi, or you can be engaged in activities which will benefit others, benefit the world, and not continue to pursue any material happiness. The word bahirantaram va can be for the external world and for yourself, both. So the world also perceives you as a very quiet and contented person, and you also feel that same quietness and contentedness inside you. In that state of existence, kalam nayethaha, just spend your time sati karma bandhe, as long as your prarabdha expects you to be in this body. Until the prarabdha is completely consumed, you spend this time in this body. So this is basically the question comes, okay, until you came to jnanam, you were very busy in all the material pursuits, and you were chasing money, you're chasing position, power, and relationships and all that. And then you come to jnanam, you become a jnani, and then you realize that this whole world is a illusion or whatever. So what do you do after that? How do you spend your life? So there are two options. This jnani can choose to become a sannyasi and completely withdraw from society. That is one option. Or he can continue to be a grihastha, but spend the rest of his life in serving the society and working for others' welfare without any selfish, ambitious motive. So that would be the other option. So if the same thing is done by an ajnani, you would call it karma yogi. But a jnani doing karma yoga is not called a karma yogi, because a jnani by definition, karma yogi by definition is ajnani. So for the external world, this jnani's activities may look like a karma yogi's activity, but we call it jnani's leela. So we use a different word. Even though the external appearance of both are the same, we don't call this jnani as a karma yogi, because that will make him an ajnani. So jnani serving the society and doing philanthropic activities, we call it jnani's leela. So that is only the change of word. Otherwise, it's the same. Yeah, externally it is the same. So this shloka is to kind of summarize how a jnani after becoming jnani, after becoming jnananishta, should spend the rest of his life. And I think somewhere in the earlier sessions also we had a discussion around this. So this is probably a repeat for those who have been with the series from the beginning. Okay, any questions?
You had said prarabdha. Could you please explain the meaning again, please?
Yeah, so prarabdha, there are 3 types of karmas, and I think you have to go back to the 10th, 11th, 12th lecture where we talked about karma. There is a agami karma. No, I'm mixing the sequence. There is a prarabdha karma is a small portion of the larger sanchita karma. There is a larger sanchita karma bundle, so the whole karma framework goes like this. All actions, any action anybody performs or commits, it has consequences and results which can come over a period of time. It is not that one action has only one result and you see it immediately. No, there are actions which produce a result later, and there are actions which produce a series of results over a long period of time. Okay, so it's a little like throwing a stone in water. If you throw a stone in water, it produces a lot of waves, and the waves keep on traveling. Like that, a karma, any action that you may perform, is like a disturbance in the cosmic field, and that produces lot of results. And the rule of karma is the one who performs the karma will experience and undergo all the series of results that this karma produces. That is the first principle of karma. So if you do something, you cannot escape its consequences. If you do a good karma, you cannot escape the good consequences. If you do a bad karma, you cannot escape the bad consequences. Whichever way it is, the consequences have to be experienced and suffered and enjoyed by you. That is principle number 1. Then what happens? All of us have had millions and millions of janmas before, and in all those millions and millions of janmas, we would have probably performed so much of karma that there is a huge bundle of karma phalam which is in store for each jiva. That huge karma phalam bundle is called sanchita karma. Sanchita karma means the accumulated total karma that is going to be undergone. Now, all that sanchita karma cannot be suffered or experienced in one single janma. So, a small portion of that sanchita karma gives rise to one particular janma. That small bundle is called prarabdha karma. So, the prarabdha karma is a very small subset of the sanchita karma which is responsible for a particular birth. And during that birth, this jiva will perform more and more karma, which is called agami karma. And whichever agami karma continues to produce the result after the conclusion of the janma, that will get added to the sanchita karma. So the sanchita karma bundle is never exhausted. It will always be a growing bundle. There is a feedback into the sanchita karma through the agami karma. Does this make the picture clear?
Yes, thank you very much. Thank you.
So the prarabdha karma is nothing but a very small subset of the sanchita karma which is responsible for a given janma. And in the case of a jnani, what happens? The moment the jnani, the status is attained, when ajnani becomes a jnani, at that moment his entire sanchita bundle is destroyed. So there is no more sanchita bundle for that jnani, and his actions do not produce an agami karma also. So agami is avoided. So all that is left is the prarabdha. And once the prarabdha is exhausted, the janma comes to an end and the jnani is liberated from the body. That is the whole idea in this 320, last line. Kalam nayethaha sati karma bandhe. As long as the prarabdha karma is holding you onto the body, you spend that time. Kalam nayethaha means spend your time until your prarabdha is depleted, either by becoming a sannyasi or by serving the society. That is the whole idea. Okay, I hope that was a good explanation.
Yes, thank you very much.
Right. Okay, so we are almost at 9 o'clock. I don't want to start a new shloka now because it will take another 5 to 10 minutes. We probably will exceed the time today. So from the next shloka, actually the Acharya is going to begin a different topic, but related topic. So he's going to talk about how a nididhyasaka should be very watchful and careful and avoid any kind of negligence and carelessness and all that. So the word pramadaha, you can see the first word of the 321 shlokas, pramadaha. Pramado brahmanisthayam na kartavya kadachana pramado mrityurityaha bhagavan brahmana sutaha. So the next 3-4 shlokas is pramadaha. Pramada means carelessness, negligence. Okay, in the Bhagavad Gita 14th chapter also you saw the word, if you remember Bhagavad Gita 14th chapter, jnanam avrityatu tamaha pramade sanjayatita. So rajastamascha vibhuya sattvam bhavati bharata. No, not that. Sattvam rajastama iti gunaha prakriti sambhavaha nibadnanti mahabaho dehe dehinam avyayam tatra sattvam nirmalatvat prakashaka manamayam sukhasangena badnati jnanasangena chanaga rajo ragatmakam vidhi trishna sanga samudbhavam tannibadnati kaunteya karmasangena dehinam tamastu ajnanajam vidhi mohanam sarvadehinam pramada alasya nidrabhihi tannibadnati varta. So that shloka tells what are the characteristics of tamo guna, and there the word pramada is used in Bhagavad Gita also. I'm just giving the connection. So pramada means carelessness, and how it can be dangerous for a nididhyasaka and how it has to be actively avoided will be the topic for the next few shlokas beginning from 321, which we will see in the next week's session on the 20th of May. Okay, for today, if there are any questions, I'll be happy to do a short discussion. Otherwise, we can close. And any thoughts?
Yes, I would like to say, you said that the jnani, once he becomes a jnani, he experiences that knowledge that he is nothing but Satchidananda Ghana, his real roop. Then his prarabdha karma is dissolved.
No. Prarabdha karma is not dissolved. It will dissolve over time.
Yes, that means he doesn't feel. According to his prarabdha karma, he will experience good or bad, but it will not disturb him.
Correct. So right. The jnani will also continue to experience pain and suffering and all that.
Exactly.
If the prarabdha has that much in store for him.
Yes.
But then he will not be affected by it.
Affected, yes.
Yeah, you know, my Guruji again gives a very good example. You know, he is from Kerala. Okay, so he gives a Kerala example. I don't know how many of you have seen jackfruit.
Yes.
You know jackfruit?
Yes.
Yeah? So
Yes.
jackfruit is a huge fruit.
Yes.
And cutting the jackfruit is a big project because it's a very sticky thing.
Yes.
Okay, and even the knife cannot go through that stickiness after a point. Okay, so apparently what they do in Kerala, whenever a jackfruit has to be cut, they first apply oil on all the hands and on the knife also. And with the oily hand and the oily knife, they cut the jackfruit. And when you do that, the sticky resin that comes from the jackfruit is completely dissolved by the oil, so that sticky resin doesn't, make a mess of your hand. Like that, the jnani going through prarabdha karma is like that, knife covered with oil. The
He's
jnanam oil actually protects him from the stickiness of the karma. That's the whole point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. Good. Thank you.
Sir, this beautiful example that I heard from your Gita lecture about cycling, and then when you suddenly, if you stop it, still the wheel turns.
Correct.
That was beautiful. I even highlighted, I think, to one of the question, what I think, if I'm right, Karthik ji in Paranam group,
Yeah, possibly.
he asked for the prarabdha. Yeah, that was
Correct.
beautiful example, sir. And
you have
yeah.
the cycle example, and you also have the modern electric fan example. The electric fan is running,
Rishti, yeah.
and once you switch off the fan, it doesn't come to a halt immediately. It runs for a few more seconds or minutes and then comes to a halt. So prarabdha karma is also like that. Yeah.
Yes, sir. Beautiful, sir. Thank you. Today's all the three shlokas were tripti, full tripti. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Okay. So then we'll chant the closing shlokas, and I'll probably take 1 minute after the shloka, but first let us do the shlokas. Yeah. Om Purnamadaha Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyate Sarvesham Swastirbhavatu Sarvesham Shantirbhavatu Sarvesham Purnam Bhavatu Sarvesham Mangalam Bhavatu Sarvepi Sukhinas Santu Sarve Santu Niramayah Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu Ma Kaschit Dukkha Bhag Bhavet. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Okay, can you please stop the recording?
Yes, sir. Just give me a second.
Yeah.